Thank you. Please take a seat. Let's start the press conference. Thank you. Please take a seat. Thank you. So, welcome to the press conference of the Woman Who Run 70th Berlinale competition. I'm gonna introduce you immediately our guests. Far right, as usual, the actress So Younghwa. Next to her, you know her very well. Welcome back to an amazing actress, awarded as a best actress with a Silver Bear in the 2017 Berlinale, Minhee. And next to me, one of the best director of contemporary cinema, the one who already made the history of Berlinale. Welcome back to Mr. Hong Sangsoo. So you know how it works, so if you have questions, please raise your hand. Just start with a question very simple for Mr. Hong. Something simple. I would like to start from the title of the film. Who is the woman who ran? And what is she running away from?
Actually, I haven't decided. But I could decide, but I kind of stopped just before deciding. But you know, I had this very vague feeling about why I like this title. I kind of guessed what kind of things people would think in connection with what they see in the film if I put this title in. But I stopped before defining what I want. Just I could say I just like the feeling of it, the feel of it. But if I keep digging, maybe I could say I would say all the women in the film are running away from something, being oppressed or being not satisfied or something like that. But I would rather stop before.
Yeah, let's talk about a little bit this structure you are saying now. I mean, it's a film made by meetings, rendezvous, and conversation between women. And in this communication, there's a question, an interrogation of life, and at the same time, so much of unsaid, like a mystery. So can you tell us something about how you develop this structure and what was your idea at the beginning?
When I start shooting, I don't have a complete idea in terms of structure or narrative. I just start with some material that I feel I want to start with and see what happens in terms of how I respond, what comes out from that responding. And then that's the first chapter I had. I went to, actually in the first chapter there's an apartment. It belongs to Miss Younghwa. And I worked there 3 days and I finished the first chapter. And I kind of knew what I wanted. So it's not the structure I had in the beginning. Only after I finished the first chapter, I knew kind of what I wanted. I don't know. I don't know whether it makes sense, but I just didn't want to squeeze as much as I used to. If you can feel the expression. I wanted to let these things hang around, not being squeezed into something more definite, more clear, or things like that, more obvious. So I just believed in this surface of things, the dialogue, without meaning certain things. I just try to believe myself that these simple dialogues could lead to somewhere, but not knowing where they would lead to. But I just tried to believe myself, so I kept doing it till the end. I don't know.
Thank you. There's a question over there.
Entschuldigung, ich muss das nur erst runter. Claudia Schulmerich, Frankfurt, Weltexpresso. Ich bin zweimal in Südkorea gewesen, in Seoul, und ich habe das Land in dem Film nicht wiedererkannt. Und ich muss ein drittes Mal fahren, damit ich ein solches Land auch sehe. Ich komme aus einem Land, in dem auch viel gearbeitet wird, aber so viel wie
hard work is done as well.
Korea
But so much as in Korea, so much hard work as in Korea, everyone had 2 jobs. It never stopped. Lots of people and always on the go. And now I've seen a film where there are very few people together and everything is very slow. And I'd like to know, do you have a counter model? Did you do this deliberately? It was a kind of antithesis to what you see around you. And my second question is about the dialogues. In linguistics, we talk about 2 codes, a respective and an elaborated code. And the restrictive code serves not to express truth, not intellectual exchange, but a social exchange. So you say, what a lovely day, what nice weather. And the other person says, yes, isn't the weather nice? And 2 people come to an agreement through this. And the dialogue seemed to me this kind of dialogue.
For the first question, because I don't usually start with any kind of generalization about subject of my film, whether it is a personality. I'm sorry, my phone is ringing. Sorry.
This is a very Hong Sangsoo film, no?
죄송합니다. Sorry. So, because I don't start with any kind of generalization, that's a very important thing for me. So it applies to if I have my general impression about Korean society in whatever way. So what I do is something is given to me. Something is always given. I appreciated the given things instead of things I look out and look for with this a certain intention or purpose. So I try to kind of relax and open, and during this period where I'm supposed to shoot something comes to me instead of I go out with the purpose. So I believe this material is good, and I just start working with this material. As I said about first chapter, so I went to her place, and I had these three actresses. I worked with them, with the environments. There was chickens, and I worked with them. And then I came up with the first chapter, so I knew what I wanted to do from there. So it's nothing to do with any kind of generalization I would come up with about Korean society. If I'm forced to make generalization about Korean society, I might come up with something, but I don't think it is in such a good quality because I don't think in that way usually. So that's the answer for your first question. And second question is, I also told him about my kind of following the wave of surface of things. If you know what I mean, it's kind of instead of squeezing and making a meaning out of things, I try to kind of surfing on the surface of things, believing that this gathering instinct might lead to somewhere. So you try to eradicate, kind of postpone and stop this impulse to have an intention of doing things. You know what I mean? So when I wrote this dialogue, of course, I had a little bit of doubt about if I go on doing this, where I would go, but I just kept doing it. I hope this satisfies your second question.
We have questions there. Yeah, over there.
Hi, Mr. Hong Sangsoo. This is Rodrigo from Brazil, from TV Globo. I have a couple of questions. I'm sorry if I bring a generalization here, but after your beautiful film, I left the cinema with two powerful words in my mind, friendship and loneliness. And I think your movie talks about those two words a lot. I would like to hear you about that. How do you think loneliness and friendship surpasses your entire body of work in cinema? And I think it would be great if you could also talk about your process of editing in a movie like this. Thank you very much.
If you are asking what I think about friendship, is it your question?
It's not what you think about friendship, but the way your cinema somehow touches those subjects, friendship and loneliness.
As you said, if I define what friendship means to me beforehand, then I'm bound to gather pieces, details to suit that generalization or definition of mine about friendship, right? But life or a being is always far surpass any kind of generalization. So the way I approach in terms of making film is try to push away all kinds of generalization, all kinds of genre technique, all kinds of expectation about a certain effect, and just open and believe myself that these things come to me will be the right one, and just grab it, and then something always comes. Like when I went to her place, I just saw this kitchen, the chickens in the backyard. I didn't know what it was to me, but I just liked it very much. So, but by choosing that chicken shot as a first shot, it lead to something, and then something like that. You know what I mean? It's even this very benign things, the friendship. If you generalize, then you are bound to go along that definition. But the things I want to do is how can pieces come to me without signifying anything, and in the process, this piece come together somehow, make a certain concrete thing. This concrete thing can mean many different things to many different people. That's what I want to do, I guess. Is it okay?
Okay, thank you. Please.
Oh. Editing process. For me, editing is very quick because during the shooting film, I already edit in my mind. So when I finish shooting, it takes usually 1 or 2 days to finish the editing. And then I wait maybe 1 week doing nothing, and then come back to the things I edited to see it in fresh eyes.
Please.
Hi, Filippo Pitanga, also from Brazil, and I would like to ask for the actress, since you've worked in many films now with this team, and it's a team effort that is always growing, how is the co-creation of the actors, of the artists with the director, and with the freedom of the dialogues and etc.?
우선은 저는 그 감독님이 써주시는 그 대본대로 굉장히
First of all,
잘 외워서
I try
잘 전달하면
to be very specific and follow the dialogue, the screenplay I get from the director, because then I think I can play my part as an actor better. I try as far as possible to stick to the screenplay, but of course I interpret it in my own way. The director tells me if I've shifted away too much from what he had in mind. We have the screenplay and the dialogues between the actors and the reactions that we elicit from one another. We respond to them with great sensitivity, and then emotions arise and changes happen. We try to be very focused in our work and to stick to the script.
Maybe, sorry, yeah, please.
감독님 작업을 할 때 배우로서도 있지만
How I work with the director. Well, I'm not just there as an actor, I'm there as an audience too. I see how the other actors are working. I see how the director guides them. And that inspires me a great deal for what I'm going to do in my scenes. The dialogue? I learn it off by heart the same morning. It's not the case that I understand the whole film beforehand and then play on that basis. I only know fragments and I focus on my part, even if there are other parts of the film that I don't know or understand. But I trust in the director that he knows how the whole thing's going to come together and that he's going to guide me appropriately. Then I have another scene and there will be moments where I think, that's why it's like that. So I don't just look at my own scenes, I also watch to see what the other actors have been doing. And then I recognize what emotions arise for me in the film. Sometimes it only happens later on. It's not a work where the whole screenplay is finished beforehand. A lot is ad hoc. A lot happens during the shoot. And of course, for an actor, that's very enjoyable. I hope that answers your question. Every scene gradually comes together.
I have two questions there. One first row, one third.
Okay.
Please.
Hi, I'm Thomas Esquret from Reuters News Agency.
Yes, please, okay. Stand up.
Sorry, I'm Thomas Esquret from Reuters News Agency. A couple of questions. First, to the actresses. It was a film dominated by very strong, by central and strong women characters, with the men largely as subsidiary players. Often we don't even see their faces, really. Kind of like the way women used to be portrayed in films. I'm wondering if that's, if it felt different to play that, and if maybe this, are we experiencing a moment after years of Weinstein revelations where films are trying to atone, make up for their failings in this area before? And to the director, there's a question I have to ask. The cat. How many times? How planned was that? How well scripted was that? And how many shots did it take to get the fine cat actress to behave with such perfection? Really, no disrespect to the actresses, but really that was a very fine performance.
Maybe I will answer first, and then they can. I wrote something about cat doing something. And then I went to her place, and actually that scene was supposed to be shot in the evening. I just thought in the evening that cat thing would make more sense. But after I shot the other scene first, and then I was kind of waiting, and then through the CCTV in the film you see in the film, I saw this cat roaming around. So I gathered the crew and then went downstairs quickly, and I shot it. And this was the first take. So yeah, I was very thankful.
죄송한데 질문 한 번만 다시 말씀해 주시면.
남자들이 좀 축소되고.
Could you put your question to the actors, to the actresses again? The director is explaining.
글쎄요, 그냥 이럴 때도 있고 저럴 때도 있고.
Sometimes it's this way. Sometimes it isn't. The director makes a lot of films. He's made a lot of films focusing on women recently, but I don't know exactly what's going on there. Of course, there aren't any male protagonists in this film, but as I didn't know what the next scenes were going to be, when you actually look at it, I don't think there's a difference here between the men and the women. I don't think anyone's stronger or weaker. I had the feeling that there are lots of people in this film. And in my audience role, I really liked this film, especially as I didn't know what was going to happen next. So I didn't really think about the topic.
Question there. I think that will be, sorry, the last questions, because we have to close.
It's working? Yeah. Here, Carlos Grau from Spain for Cultural Resuena. My question is for the director about, maybe it's a small detail, is the music, but I think the music, we hear the music 2 moments in the movie, and the quality of the sound was like not clean. I found that strange. And then at the very end, we see the protagonist in the movie at the theater, and it's the same music. So then I think it's, you can tell me better, of course, if this music is the one from the movie at the very end, and if it's like this, why you choose it to make that. Thank you.
You mean about the sound quality?
Yeah, about the sound quality and the two moments when we hear the music during the movie. I think it's the same music at the very end in the cinema.
Yeah.
So maybe what we are listening during the movie is what the protagonist at the end watching the movie.
She's returning to the same cinema, but when she returns, we see the colored version of this wave scene. And the musics are, there are two musics, both are composed by me. I'm not professional composer, but I just play with my small mini guitar and mini piano. And I had this music in my iPhone. Sometimes I like to record things I play, and then it worked with me. So that's why because I recorded in my iPhone, that's why its quality is not so good. Okay.
Sorry. And you didn't decide to clean the sound. You found that would be okay. I mean, I found that totally okay, but I'm curious because nowadays you don't see that in movies, you know? If the sound is not perfect, if you realize it was...
I thought it was okay with the film. Yeah.
Okay, this is a good end for this press conference. Thank you for being
very much
with us. Thanks to Hong Sangsoo and his beautiful actors, great actresses.
Thank you.